At some point in our lives, we have asked ourselves this question: what's the point of anything if we are gonna leave this world someday? Oftentimes, it'll be during our lowest or toughest moments, and we question ourselves on the need for anything. Why are we pushing ourselves so hard? Why should I be sacrificing so much for this? Is it even worth the effort if our lives are going to end someday? A couple of years back when I was still studying in university, I remember flunking one of my semesters really badly for various reasons. I had a goal to graduate with a good GPA, and the result I got was something I cannot accept. I studied really hard subsequently, sacrificing my social life, be it late night suppers, extracurricular activities, or just hanging out with my friends. I kept that up for a couple of semesters, and I was on track on improving my GPA, but not without inevitably distancing myself away from my friends. I scrolled through my Instagram story and saw my friends having the time of their lives while I sat at my desk with my textbook open. I asked myself, what's the point of studying so hard given that our lives are so short? Shouldn't I be enjoying myself to the fullest and not deal with all this stressful late night studying? Following that, it was also a period where we are supposed to look for companies for our internship program. All of us were sending our resumes to the company of our choice, and surprisingly, I was the very first one in my friend group that got an offer for the position. It was also the fact that it was one of the more competitive companies that all of us were vying for. At this point, I kind of had a hint on what's going on, that it was due to my results and probably successful interview, but it didn't really hit me until I graduated and started looking for a job. In a time where the market seems volatile and job openings seem scarce, it somehow seemed to be in abundance to me, and I was offered my first full-time job in no time. My hard work was paying off. Opportunities were abundant because of that. Spending years of effort and money to get a degree doesn't just stop there. In Singapore's context, a degree is still widely valued, and it's one of the key criteria that companies look for when considering an applicant for a managerial position, and that basically translates to a higher salary. What we are in right now is a long game. This game doesn't just last for an hour. It spans for many decades, more than half a century, and every decision that we make affects how we'll continue to live for the next few decades. It may seem pointless to work hard in the short term, and seemingly sacrificing so much for something that's so distant in the future, but oftentimes, it's during those moments in the future that make you feel glad that you made those sacrifices. Did I regret choosing to study instead of going out with friends and engage in activities that seem cool to many, such as drinking and clubbing? Not one bit. In fact, I grew apart from those group of friends after I graduated, and I feel that's something that will happen regardless whether I join their gatherings. No matter how much I think about it, I can't imagine myself regretting my decisions, because that's me. I'm the kind of person that just wants to work hard and achieve a goal that I've set myself up to achieve. I can't imagine myself going for even a slightly longer dinner with my friends with a peace of mind, knowing that I could have quickly finished my dinner and spend the remaining time studying. That's just me. If I had a chance to go back in time, I would make the same decision over and over again. And it's because of this quality of mind that opened so many doors of opportunities for me. There is a point in working hard. It is not pointless. In fact, you don't exactly have to sacrifice all forms of social activities. You could still spend time with like-minded friends, studying and eating together, and that's essentially what I did. One of the most common contexts that people would use this phrase of "what's the point of anything" is on health and fitness. They would say, what's the point of working out if we are all going to be dust in the future? What's the point of building an aesthetic body if our muscles are going to sag someday? Why should I cut down on junk food now if we are going to be met with the inevitable dietary restriction that old age gives? Shouldn't I be eating more junk food now while I still can? I'm someone that always tries to see both sides of the coin, and I understand their perspective on this. They are simply enjoying the present. Nothing wrong with that. What I deduce from this are that most of such people have never experienced the rewards of putting in effort on something over a long period of time. To be more specific, they have only ever experienced short-term gratification and never on long-term gratification. The dopamine hit that comes with short-term gratification are satisfying and instantaneous. It's easy to favor what they can see and feel, such as binging on junk food. On the other hand, long-term gratifications requires effort to be put in on a daily basis for months or even years to even see any results. The reward that comes from such long-term investments are always huge. When they are on wheelchairs or fighting diabetes by 60 years old because of their bad diet, people that have been keeping themselves fit and healthy all their lives are probably still going for jogs at 70 or even 80 years old. If there's only one takeaway that you can have from this video, it's this: life is short, but at the same time, it's not as short as you think. The average human lifespan of around 80 years old is short. Short in the sense that life has so much to offer, so much to see and experience in different phases of our lives. But we only have a short 80 years to experience it all, and that number is just going to go down if you don't take care of yourself. If you are met with an accident, that number is just going to cut in half or way more. On the other hand, life is not exactly as short as you think. We all know how long an hour feels like. Imagine 40, 50 or 60 years. Imagine reaping the benefits of a fit, healthy, aesthetic body for several decades because of all that consistent work. Do you think there's a point in putting all that effort to achieve that? Or would you still insist that it's okay to not experience these benefits for the next few decades of your life? If one can have the mentality to enjoy short-term gratification as much as possible, wouldn't it be much more economical to invest the time and effort into long-term gratification, such as studying hard to open more job opportunities or building the aesthetic body that you have always wanted? Not to mention to the envy of many others. In fact, if one is always looking at the short term and ask the question of what's the point of anything, if you're all going to leave this world one day, crudely speaking, there's no need to eat and drink. But the fact that you are eating and drinking is in a way investing in the long-term benefits of living for a longer time, as opposed to dying of hunger. So why not tweak that mentality to work on something much more meaningful for the long term, whether it be working towards your dream body, studying hard for your exams to get into a good school with a good degree, or on whatever craft that your passion lies on, and someday it could become more than just a hobby. So now that you have listened to all these, ask yourself this now: is there a point in working hard?